Yeah.
All right. Everybody ready?
Yes, absolutely.
I was born ready. I was born in the darkness. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Press X to Podcast, where the guys and sometimes gals from COGconnected talk about video games and, I don't know, whatever else we feel like talking about. My name is Paul, I'm the host, and alongside me today, as always, my partner in crime, it's James.
Hello.
And new addition to the podcast, and I guess technically to the COGconnected family, we've got Rhett.
How's everybody doing tonight?
I am doing very, very well.
Excellent.
Just so good.
Just so good. James, you mentioned that you were full of food and wine.
You are absolutely correct. My girlfriend cooked a very carb-heavy meal, and I'm incredibly grateful for it. And there was white wine, which I'm also grateful for, but like in a different way.
I see. So you don't subscribe to the wheat belly, gluten-free lifestyle of the rest of Vancouver?
No, not even the slightest, littlest bit.
Great,
Carbs
because
will probably not kill you.
no, there's literally no scientific backing for any of that gluten-free stuff, unless you're celiac, in which case you shouldn't eat wheat. Rhett, what are your feelings on wheat?
Well, I mean, I'm just polishing off a tall, cool Budweiser at the moment, actually. So,
Oh, delicious. Delicious.
wheat, big fan. I'm not going to argue.
Okay, all right.
You said tall. How tall are we talking?
Tall enough.
Okay. That's
Like
cryptic.
like a regular size can, or like an extra, like could play in a local basketball league kind of can of beer. Like, what are we talking here?
Yeah, it's one of those big, like bigger than a tall boys. You know what I mean? It's like a
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Extra tall. Extra tall. Yeah.
Extra tall, extra wide.
Will have like health problems later in his life because like the blood can't circulate properly, and like might drop dead of a heart attack at 54.
Most likely.
Oh yeah, very tragic. Anyway,
Most likely. 56.
You know, Budweiser is not an objectively good beer, but a friend of mine has a great opinion that there is a time and a place for literally every beer. And podcasting is a great place to whip out the 28-ounce Budweiser.
yeah, can confirm.
Absolutely.
So, this podcast is about video games. Are you aware of those?
Sort of.
Okay.
I've played a video game in my life.
Good.
I do know Metal Gear Solid. I do know that.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Like, yeah.
Oh, you're speaking my language. Gotta love that Kojima.
Mhm.
Who made that noise of I'm not sure that you've gotta love Kojima? Is that you, James?
I mean, I've generally got a lot to say about Hideo Kojima because he's an auteur in the video game industry, which is not a common occurrence, and
That's true.
demands a little attention, examination, an attempt to understand.
Mm-hmm.
He is, yeah.
I mean, he's been let off the chain by someone lately. He's in the news, like the top 10 articles on the site out of maybe the top 20 are about Death Stranding.
As they should be.
I'm
Yeah.
personally shocked that that's coming out this year.
Right? It
Yeah.
doesn't seem real. I thought that was a 2025 release at best.
Yeah, I mean, he did leave the door open for more Death Strandings in the Strand universe. So, I mean, never say never.
The Strandiverse.
Yes.
So, has anybody played anything that actually is out or will be out, like real tangible games this week?
I played some Borderlands.
Played some NHL 20.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hey, hello.
Played some of that new Red Dead Online update. I'm still battling my way through Fire Emblem. I don't know
Oh
if
my
I don't
God.
know if I'll ever finish that game, to be honest. I think I'm in chapter 10 and I'm 55 hours in. So like I don't know if I'm ever gonna finish it.
Odds are better that the game will, in fact, finish you first.
I feel that way right now. Actually, I won't say anything, but I'm in mourning currently, and I think that game will finish me off before I finish it.
Yeah, I haven't beat it either, but James, you did the review. Fire Emblem's your baby.
It's pretty delightful. I I ran into a self-imposed grinding problem because I don't want to leave anybody behind, even if they can't shoot a bow and arrow to literally save their fucking life. So I get a lot of like situations where battles are done 1.5 to 1.75 times just to like finish the stage. And there's a lot of like careful maneuvering of people so that they stay out of like dragon fire and like claw attacks and shit. And I feel like I'd be done the game if I was a little more cavalier about people's lives, but I just love all of them.
That's my problem with it. Absolutely. Like each move I spend too much time analyzing everything, you know? And I know that there's the divine pulse, but that kind of feels like cheating to me. You know what I mean?
Oh, then I've cheated a lot.
Yeah.
I cheat like fucking crazy if that's the case.
I don't know. I can't get behind that move, that divine pulse. But then again, I also like I feel like I've spent a lot of time over leveling to the point where I'm like too over leveled now. So I don't really need to. I never get to the point where I really need to use it that often.
I'll tell you where there's no divine pulse. That's in NHL 20. And that could mean any number of things, in my opinion.
Yes.
So,
Rhett, tell me why you said what you said in the review, because I greatly disagree with your opinion of the game.
So it's been a long time coming for this game. I feel like we've had in the past 20 years, there's been like 4 versions of the game that have like pushed the series forward. And I think back to probably 2004, 2007 when they added the shot stick.
Mm-hmm.
2013, I believe it was, and then now 2020. Yeah, I feel like they finally like got the right idea. They're moving the game. I've said it a couple times in the review, but they're moving the game towards like a more simulation experience. It's gonna take there's gonna be like a little bit of a what's the word for it? The, I'm blanking. What's the word I'm looking for right now?
it sort of sounds like you're suggesting that this game is going to get really good in 1 or 2 more iterations, and that's a little troubling.
I do think that the game is good now. I think that it plays better than it ever has. Like I said in the review, the shovel shots have been completely eliminated. That's a huge part of the game. Like battling in front of the net is better than it's ever been. But there's like a lot of old issues that start to creep through and start to seep through, and yeah, it's better than it's ever been on the ice. But there's a lot of work to be done off the ice. That's really what I was trying to go for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like a 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And which is usually the case with the game. I'll be the first to admit. Where's COGconnected from years prior, or where's like the ability to hit somebody into the bench? Why can't we like break the glass? I know we haven't seen the glass break in an NHL game, and I don't know, it's been a while, but like all these things that have been in games years prior, I don't know. It's regression in my eyes at that point. When you're taking that stuff out.
What really scares me is that we're at the end of a console generation, and like the last time we jumped forward to the PS4 and the Xbox One, the game took like several steps back. And
absolutely,
I'm very worried that that's going to happen next year.
I couldn't agree more. Maybe the worst version of NHL in the past 20 years was the first one on the new gen consoles. Yeah, it was super disappointing.
Well, I guess not that I'm like any sort of expert on sports games, but I think based on the nature of the console jump that's coming up, I don't know that it's going to be quite as potentially catastrophic. Like, I think we're not doing the like massive leap forward in graphics anymore. Everything I've heard has been like, oh, well, things are going to run a whole lot better and everything's going to be faster and more efficient. And I feel like that's the kind of move that developers can kind of make with a little more confidence. And like maybe NHL 2021 won't be a complete fuckfest.
So why is 20 a complete fuckfest to you?
Well, I'm not. So I'm saying. I'm just saying like what you said about like the one that comes with the next console is generally problematic.
Right. Oh, of course. Yeah. Of course.
I think what bothers me about 20 and basically every version of NHL since probably 13, like you said, is that when they make an improvement like, the skating or the skating last year, shooting this year, when you're doing that one thing, you're like, yeah, this is good. And then you pull back onto defense and you gap the winger correctly, and he still does the same lob shot into the opposite corner that's been happening since, I don't know, like 09 probably.
Right.
Things like that really stick out to me as there's not enough iteration happening here. And one of the comments on our video review on YouTube, which I found particularly telling, was something along the lines of, "You lost me at EA Vancouver is working very hard," which is savage.
Well, I mean, that's kind of that's just the mindset, right? That's the idea. That's kind of what's out there with EA right now. But I don't know. I think a lot of it at the time is justified. And I think a lot of it at the time isn't, And in this case, I do think that they put out a really good game. I'm really looking forward to the series. And believe me, like, this is coming from a guy who strongly disliked 17, 18, even 19. I found a lot to be, a lot to be wrong with 19. We'll leave it at that. But
yeah.
20 I've been enjoying. And maybe, again, I mentioned it in my review, but I never got into World of Chell in 19. That's a big reason why I'm into 20 right now. I'm like totally addicted to like unlocking stuff for my guy and getting in there with a couple buddies of mine. We've got our little club going, and man, I'm addicted to that. That's a good time.
Yeah, I really like the ones mode. I think that's like the ultimate test of what's your mastery of this game? Can you battle the skill stick well enough to take out your opponent?
Exactly. It's super rewarding. Like super rewarding. The ones is. Threes is a little much. I don't like the smaller ice, and it gets a little too chaotic for me. But ones and that EA SHL 6v6, that's a good time.
Cool. NHL 20. James, tell me about. Can you talk about Link's Awakening?
Well, by the time this episode airs, yes, I absolutely can.
Sweet.
So the main thing I want to bring up is the thing that people have been talking about ever since the first like E3 preview came out, and that's that they're worried about the graphical performance or whatever, like the frame rate. Because like anytime you read a write-up of it from like June onwards, it's like, oh, well, there's a lot of frame rate dips and it runs kind of buggy. And I'm like, well, first of all, no, fuck you. It runs buggy for a Nintendo game, which means it is 5% less than completely perfect. I did notice that the frame rate dips slightly sometimes in the overworld sections, and I did continue to notice it for about 2 to 4 minutes, and then I completely forgot and never thought of it again until I had to write the review.
Is that because you were busy waking the windfish?
It's the sort of thing you can only see when you're looking for it very carefully. Like when you're just playing and engaging with enemies and going through the overworld and, exploring dungeons and doing, Zelda shit. You forget about it really, really fast. I haven't done extensive testing to see like what the the frame drop is like in docked versus handheld, but I don't think it's a significant difference, and I think it's just as forgettable whatever mode you're playing with. Like, I I'm a pretty serious Zelda fanboy, but I legit completely forgot that the graphics thing was supposed to be a problem until uh like this morning when I started doing the write up. Um, Aside from that, it's just like a solid remake. Um, I did kind of forget how frustrating Link's Awakening can be sometimes because it's sort of obtuse, and they like I'm not like I'll look to walkthroughs for help, and I have to tell you they changed a few little things just enough so that most of the time I went to a walkthrough, it was fucking useless. Like just one little thing like, oh, this guy doesn't drop a key anymore. Or, oh, they changed how many secret seashells are out there in the world in total. So like all their like guides to how many you need to get like the second level sword, useless.
There are a few things I wouldn't give to be on a fly on the wall as you swear at Link's Awakening and its inability to adhere to past walkthroughs.
Man, okay. I was doing Dungeon 8 or whatever and just bashing my head against the fucking wall for like 45 minutes. I'm like feeling like I want to like put both of my fists at the same time through my monitor just to like feel like I'm in control of something. And then just like on a fluke after like the 9th time running through the same section of dungeon that I can't get past, I'm like, oh, hey, maybe I could do this one thing. And then I got by it. And that's the Zelda experience before like online helping players guides. Yeah. And it was a really strange feeling. It's like I was 9 all over again and like stuck on the same spot for like weeks or months or whatever.
So it seems like maybe your opinion has cooled on this as one of the greatest Zeldas ever. Oh my god, this is my game of the year.
I was pretty ready to put it in my contenders list for game of the year, but I never actually had a lot of time with this one as a kid. It's very similar to my favorite Zelda game of all time, but it's not. Although I will. Oh, A Link to the Past.
Yeah.
I beat that game at least once a year, every year, for the last decade.
Yeah.
It's actually the only Zelda game I've ever played. The Link to the Past remake on the GBA all those years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're really good. I never beat it, though, actually. So Link's Awakening, I've really been looking forward to getting back into that sort of style, and it looks so gorgeous. Oh, man, it looks so beautiful.
Yeah, when you're wandering through the overworld and it's doing like that tilt shifting stuff and like the lighting's all beautiful and like the music's pumping, you're like, wow, this is fucking art. This is a diorama that somebody brought to life. It's amazing. And then when you're like stuck in a dungeon, you want to like snap your Switch in half like a fucking Kit Kat bar, and it's the cycle. It's fine.
Yeah.
So is A Link to the Past or A Link Between Worlds better, James?
I think they're on pretty equal footing. Like, I think Link Between Worlds was definitely a necessary thing to do to introduce people to that world. And I can totally understand people being like, oh, I can't deal with those really old games. And like this one just feels more feature complete. Mm-hmm. But to me, because I grew up with the original, the sequel just sort of feels like it feels like pandering. It feels like mining the vein of nostalgia, so to speak. So it can never be completely genuine. But on the other hand, it is objectively a fantastic Zelda game.
All right. So Link's Awakening, that's out on Friday 20th?
Yes.
Friday the 20th. Also out on Friday the 20th is the Switch Lite.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it a Switch? Is it a Switch if it doesn't switch?
No.
It's light.
It is light.
It is. Very light.
It's because I do capturing, there's no reason for me to own it.
Yeah. Nintendo sent one over. So I've been poking at that literally this afternoon because that's when it showed up.
Okay.
It feels way better than the standard Switch when you're holding it. It's nowhere near as rickety.
Yeah, that makes sense because I think that the Switch is like the best handheld I've ever had. But that makes a lot of sense for them to actually make the Switch a handheld, a full handheld. That makes a ton of sense for it to.
Okay. I know they're not going to call it anything but a Switch Lite, but for us, the consumer, who know damn well that it's not switching to anything else, we need another name for this fucking thing.
Oh my god.
I want to call it like
It's the Sans Switch, the Nintendo Sans Switch.
We'll just call it the Nintendo Boy.
That's not terribly inclusive.
Yeah, but I mean, it taps into like internet and meme culture that's been sort of fixated on that particular term as a like catch-all, and it also is an homage to like consoles past. And I mean,
I just
like
brilliant.
the idea of being like, I'm gonna bust up my Nintendo Boy, and we're like, whoa, that's weird. Okay, like maybe let's have a talk about that.
Had to plug in my Nintendo Boy to charge. Yeah, but it seems like a really nice piece of hardware. So if you don't need to capture or you don't own a television and never want to dock it, it's probably the one to own. Also, the screen in very minimal head-to-head testing, the screen seems better. It's brighter.
Nice.
I don't feel like the resolution or quality of the screen is much different, but it is definitely brighter. And the left-hand side of the control grip has the plus sign, not the stupid buttons. So if you want to play Mario or literally any platformer ever, yeah, it does have a legit D-pad, which feels pretty much like D-pads of Nintendo's past. So, which is to say, very good. I haven't tried any Street Fighter or anything to see, check out some fireball motion, but I'm sure it's good.
I play Street Fighter games like with claws instead of hands, so it doesn't make a difference to me. I like have the two fingers like hovering over the down, back, down, forward buttons, and I'm just like, and it's it doesn't look good at all. But like, I can see how a D-pad would be much better.
Well, good luck me getting that image out of my head.
Hey, so who's been playing Borderlands the Third?
That's me. That's me. I'm not reviewing it, but it is definitely some more Borderlands.
That's the consensus I'm seeing here. I had no idea what it was doing on Metacritic at least, and I'm looking it up now. It's not doing so well. I didn't realize that fans don't like this game.
What's it metaing at right now?
79 critic score, 5.3 user though. And I tend to look at the user,
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, that critic score has come down quite a bit. Gearbox somewhat infamously didn't send out review code to very many places, so there was some chatter that maybe they were sending it out to places that were likely to give it a high score, because I remember on release day it was up in the high 80s. It was like 87, 88 on the Metacritics.
I should say that's the PS4 Metacritic. On PC, it's got an 84, but a 5.2 user score.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Rhett, I don't know if you've heard on the grapevine, but I'm not what you would call a fan of the Borderlands franchise. Just to warn everybody who's maybe tuning in for the first time in a while.
Nor am I.
I think that game is a bloated fucking mess. And by game, I of course mean franchise.
Well, do tell, please.
Basically, it focuses too much on like constantly changing out your gear with like minor alterations that don't really add up to a whole lot. Like they plunk in all these RPG mechanics so you can make you feel like they're trying to get that loot grind happening where you're like, oh, better stuff, better stuff, better stuff. But because it's still a fucking first person shooter, a lot of that doesn't really matter if you're not good with guns. And if you are good with guns, it matters even less than it did before. Like no amount of fucking fun, bright pink and green chaos bullshit personality you can slap on the top layer is going to make a difference when in the actual core gameplay loop, you're just picking up an endless succession of slightly different guns, seeing which one will best suit you for this next random ass side mission where you're killing X amount of this in order to fucking find some meaning in your fucking life. I just
You hate this game.
I tried so hard with the first two and could not fucking do it. I finished the first one after much duress and strife, could not get through the second one. And like just because it was like more of the same, but also just I know there's
complete respect to you for battling it out through 2 games, and now. So, have you played 3 or?
Fuck no.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't get the time, man. I got like a full-time job, and we're always going out and doing stuff. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, your opinion or not your opinion, your description of the flow of the loop is not wrong. Like that is completely accurate. You're killing things that don't matter. You're just shooting in an arena and picking up, a ton of guns for no particular reason other than there are green arrows. And
yeah,
you equip the green arrows and you sell the red arrows, and your backpack's way too small, so you're in the shitty menu way too often. I mean, it's a slog if you want to play with people and just chat with your buddies and do something mindless while you're chatting away, like you can definitely do that. But it's not something you're going to want to sit down for the rich, glowing narrative and amazing mechanical structure.
Like that's one of the reasons I really liked Rage 2 is because it tangles with that same world building idea of like a crazy apocalyptic scenario where everybody looks nuts and acts nuts and it's fun and stupid, but there's like 10 guns and there's none of this like fucking about with like minor stat differences, and the shooting feels better. Like which, is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The shooting feels fine, but it's not great.
I was a huge fan of the first Rage.
Yeah.
It
was before its time.
Way before its time, yeah. So I really want to get into that. I think the second one's on sale right now, actually.
Easy recommendation.
Yeah. I'm sure it's solid.
Yeah, before that I played River City Girls, which was great. If you liked the NES game, you will like this game because it has lots of personality and good voice acting, and the combat is fun, and I don't know, man, it's fucking Kunio-kun. Just get into it.
Yeah, I looked up the trailer before we started, and it does look like a ton of fun. I love that old school beat 'em up style. The color palette is really fun,
Everything about the way the way the menu and the interface is all designed, all of it has like this punch and this pop that like just really gets you into it. And like all the still frame art they use for like going into shops and like the character portraits, all of it is just like full of life and really well crafted.
Yeah, the pixel art's really, really good.
Oh, it's fucking solid. And because Arc System Works is like affiliated with it or like overseeing it or involved in some way, that the combat is going to feel pretty decent, although I don't actually know what their involvement in it is. Like I think they were like a consultant or some shit, because as far as I understand, Way Forward just like has this thing from top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't get why their name is on the box in any way, but like I'm happy it's there. I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I really want to play that though. It not just because River City Ransom is so classic, but I need a new beat 'em up in my life, and I don't think Streets of Rage 4 is going to be it.
No, this one actually keeps you engaged, and the fights are interesting, and there's a fuck ton of moves. And like as soon as I discover the specials for the first time, like there's this one that's like the spinning drill kick like Cammy uses in Street Fighter. Oh, it's so good.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Is that like a budget title or is it pricey?
I don't know. I would guess it's probably comfortably in the middle in terms of price because it's like there's a lot of voice acting talent attached to it, and it's the newest in a pretty respectable franchise in Japan. So I'm under the impression it's probably, at least Canada side, like 30-40 bucks, probably somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
I would
30 on Steam currently.
Nice. Okay. No, that's fair. That's good.
Yep.
Cool. Anything else? I know you played Blair Witch, Rhett.
Yeah, Blair Witch was okay. It had its ups and downs. I think that I may have been a little, I don't know, disillusioned on the game, or a little. I heard that the game was supposed to be like this, it was supposed to be considered one of like the all-time greats, or like it was kind of getting this hype, being up in the upper echelons with Silent Hill 2. And I played it and I'm like, this is okay. Now the final part of the game, spoiler alert, but the final part of the game, quite good. Yeah, like it was by far the best part of the game. It was worth getting through the rest of it to get to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So, Rhett, I have to know who was hyping this game up to you, because I've heard nothing about this since E3.
And it was just the couple sites that I went to. I think one of them may have been GameSpot. I think there may have been an IGN in there where I saw, yeah, exactly, where I saw an article that was talking about again how it was right up there with Silent Hill 2, and I think they said Amnesia as well. And it was supposed to be one of these all-time great horror games. So I was super excited about it. I figured like the property's good. I've been a big fan of the property my entire life. So the game kind of came out of nowhere too. It's not like there's a Blair Witch movie coming out, is there, that I'm aware of?
No, definitely not.
So it kind of came out of nowhere. I figured, hey, maybe somebody had an idea for this and they were going to do something good with it. And again, there are parts that work really, really well. Like the audio, if you play the game with headphones, it's actually pretty. They've got like this full 360-degree audio thing going on.
Do you get the sense that this was a Blair Witch project from the beginning, or was this a random horror game that they decided to slap Blair Witch into at some point?
That's a good point. Yeah, no, that's a really good question, actually. It very well could have been something else. The camera that they have in the game, the little camcorder handheld, that could have been something. That could have been like the idea that they had for something else. They were like building a game based around this camera when they saw, the similarities between their gameplay and the Blair Witch movie. Maybe they did start to kind of push it towards like the Blair Witch. Maybe they did start to add the lore throughout the forest and things like that.
Yeah, I feel like speaking of fly in the wall conversations, that's definitely what I'd want to be a part of, to see like when in this project's life cycle the Blair Witch brand was attached to it.
Yeah, because I mentioned Amnesia. The game kind of feels like Amnesia. Now that you say that, now that I think about other games, this really feels like, it does kind of feel like Amnesia. So who knows? Yeah. You like that dog games, though. They give you Bullet, the dog, the German Shepherd. One of the better companions I've seen in gaming.
You can never go wrong with a game that's got a good dog in it.
right? And there's like 3 or 4 different pet animations where like he'll run up to you and he'll like lay down. You can give him a belly rub, or he'll jump up on you, and yeah, good time.
Sick.
Yeah.
Well, we know where their development effort went into. It was dog mechanics.
100%. In that house at the end.
This is totally off topic, but I read an article the other day where somebody hacked the camera in PT, and it turns out that throughout the entire game, the girl is directly behind you.
Oh,
I saw this, and she's like terrifying.
Oh God!
You want to talk about one of the all-time greats, like that we got robbed of? Man, PT, Silent Hill, the new whatever it was going to be called, Silent Hill, I assume. That was going to be a game changer.
Yeah, that's
YouTube playthroughs of that are some of my favorite fucking videos I've seen in the last half decade.
Where people are like, I don't want to turn around. I'm not turning around. I'm not doing it.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, that is one of the great tragedies of our time, and probably related to Kojima's
exit.
Yeah, exit from Konami, and Konami's entrance into the pachinko realm.
Perfect.
As they
love seeing Snake on the pachinko machines.
Oh yeah. So I know we don't have like a huge list of news things to talk about today, but I do want to take just a moment, just one moment, to talk about Pokemon.
Okay.
Because they did a reveal of one of the new ones coming to the new games in November, and I fucking love him so much.
Yes.
Tell me more. I didn't see this.
His name is Sirfetch'd. So Farfetch, the Pokemon that is literally just a duck holding a vegetable, has finally gotten an evolution. And he's like this buff, Chad-looking motherfucker with like a leek sword and a leek shield and like really serious eyebrows, who, and I'm being serious, according to the Pokedex entry, weighs 257 pounds.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Wow.
Yeah. So somebody pointed this out on Twitter earlier today, and I just, where is this weight? Like, is this a clerical error when they were typing it up? Like, is he 25.7? I can see that because he's a duck, but like 257 pounds? Like, is this thing like walloping around a man-sized leek sword? Like, ugh.
Farfetch'd was like 2 pounds. It's a big evolution, and it's so funny. My girlfriend and I were just like last month, we were like, out of all the Pokemon, we thought that Farfetch'd needed an evolution more than any other. Where's the love for Farfetch'd? Sure enough, like as if I don't have this guy in my party.
Well, apparently he's Pokemon Sword only, in case you were wondering
Sword.
Which version to get.
Yeah, I'm going
exactly.
Sword.
Team Sword, man. How will Team Shield respond?
They won't.
Well, I mean,
they can't.
Sword, Pokemon Sword already has the legendary that's a wolf with a sword in its mouth, which on its own is enough of a like deal sealer.
Yeah, they would.
But now they have Sir Chad, the fucking leak knight. There's no question. What's Shield gonna bring?
257 pounds. Like that's news.
Yeah.
If there's one takeaway from this podcast, it's that Sirfetch'd is gonna be 257 pounds. Like, thank you, Nintendo. Thank you, Game Freak.
Is there like a listed height for this duck, or is he duck height and weighs
at least
that much?
17 or 18 feet tall?
Yeah.
I'm Googling that shit right now, right this second, finding this guy.
Like, what kind of Chad density are we dealing with here?
The highest density.
Yeah, the highest density. Please tell me about this Pokemon. Yeah, somebody on my feed pointed out that he's 0.8 meters tall and 117 kilograms.
Oh man,
it's unreal.
You could
Wow.
if he wasn't like 300 pounds, you could like kick him like a football.
Wow.
I wonder if he's one of these ones that you can Dynamax. Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Dynamax. Yeah, I wonder if he's
yeah.
gonna be one of these ones that do that too.
Oh
Maybe
man.
they just
But
default the weight to when he's like 30 feet tall,
yeah, yeah.
and it just never changes.
Imagine that insane weight.
Oh,
Just thousands upon thousands of pounds
Yeah.
of pure leak carrying duck muscle.
yeah, he'll swing that fucking soup vegetable in like a big wide arc, and like buildings will just like collapse,
Oh,
like they're made of fucking matchsticks, and he's just like whoa, 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 whoa.
totally. He's a world eater.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow, I'd kind of forgot that Pokemon was coming out this year, and
It looks good. It
I'm
does.
very
It
glad you've
looks
been
good.
remembered.
It looks
Yeah.
like they're finally starting to get towards style. I think the next gen of them is going to be the Zelda Pokemon hybrid, where it's open world and all the Pokemon are out there. And that's what we've been building towards, right? 20 years. That's what we've been waiting for.
I think people need to understand and appreciate how much of a Japanese franchise Pokemon is.
Yeah.
Like, when people are like, oh my god, I can't believe they've been using the same character models and shit like that for 6 years, I want to point out to them a few things. One, Dragon Quest, which has changed under extreme duress and has been dragged kicking and screaming into the 21st century.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the most popular franchise in Japan. And then there's like Yakuza, which changes as little as it can possibly get away with from entry to entry. People will argue that it's not the case, but I mean, it's just criminals punching criminals with wacky mini games, and it has been since like the very first entry.
Well, I mean, now that game does have turn-based combat for
Yeah.
Yakuza 7.
Interesting.
Yeah, but like the point I'm trying to make is that Japanese franchises change
Of
as little as they can possibly get away with.
Fire Emblem as well, right? They were another one
Oh,
that just
fuck yes.
up until the Switch version here. They
Yeah,
pretty much
it was-
the same game, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's the same basic game with like nicer window trimmings, and has been since the Super NES era, I think.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. What else does Nintendo have this year? There's Luigi's Mansion, but
Yeah.
anything else of note?
Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games looks really good.
It does.
Does.
There's so much to it. Like, it looks like it's going to be the Mario Party. God, you know what I mean? It's not quite Mario Party, but it looks like it's going to be the Nintendo Party game to own.
Oh, holy shit, yes. The idea that you can get like all these different characters in like Olympics level karate tournaments against each other, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Let's all just say a little prayer that it is not a Mario Party clone, because fuck that game.
Please.
Oh, no,
Still to this
no.
day, the most underdeveloped, most disappointing game out of Nintendo on the Switch, bar none.
They've done Mario and Sonic at the Olympics before in previous
Yep.
console generations. So if you want an idea roughly of what this game is going to be like, you can look to those ones. And I think the biggest difference is that it's going to be on like a very couch co-op party game friendly system.
Unless you got a Switch Lite.
And yeah, and also Sega has been leaning super duper hard into its like status as a meme engine, and it's for the good of the world.
What are the odds that they add some like free DLC to Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games with a new character? Movie Sonic.
The odds of them doing that before they add any sort of DLC to Mario Party, very high. Very, very high.
I think Movie Sonic is going to be disappointing in his like blandness and his like broad appeal. I think he's going to be like, oh, this doesn't offend anybody, and it's gonna make me so sad. I want my CGI nightmare back. God damn it. I feel robbed.
It's going to be like the Simpsons car for everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
It's good for literally nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had teeth. He had human teeth and regular the hands of a man and like and bright shiny animal eyes. Like it's just he was going to rob children of their sleep for fucking years to come. And now we can't have that.
Disturbingly muscular blue legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a nightmare.
God, go on.
I'm going to miss him.
My God.
Tell me more.
I'm sure there's probably some fan fiction about that particular fellow.
Guaranteed.
Listen, nobody wants to go opening the Pandora's box that is Sonic the Hedgehog fan fiction, unless you do, in which case, Godspeed, get after it. But maybe not.
I mean, we have discussed it before, so
you have.
So we might be the people who are looking to open Pandora's box. Look directly at the Ark of the Covenant. So news-wise, there's basically only one piece of news I wanted to bring up, which is that despite Xbox having little to no first-party content that anybody gives a shit about, Game Pass continues to just slay with the titles they're getting.
It's actually insane how much there is on Game Pass. I'm scrolling through it right now.
Yeah, so context on that. This week's editions are Jump Force and Bloodstained.
Yeah. Which
Jump Force is not a good game, but a lot of people want to play it. And Bloodstained is a very good game, and a lot of people want to play it. So, I mean, those are good gets, and I think Sony is going to have to respond to that in one way or another in the new generation.
Definitely.
When is the Xbox Game Pass getting its PC version for those of us who don't own a Microsoft console?
I'm pretty sure it's out now, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say that's not a thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I just remember them talking about it, and then I never heard about it again. It came up at E3, and then I stopped seeing news about it. So I'm like, is it a thing now? Is it a thing later? I don't know.
I'm Googling.
I'm not a man who's in dire need of more video games to play, so I haven't been following it that closely.
That's pretty much why I don't have Game Pass. Because I don't need to have the access to all this stuff. I'm already overwhelmed.
Okay, it's in beta.
Okay.
And yeah, it has Gears 5, Blair Witch, Kingdom Come Deliverance, Dead Rising 4.
Metal Gear Solid HD Edition. You get Sons of Liberty and Snake Eater.
Yo, I downloaded that yesterday. Yeah, man. Oh, what a treasure.
It doesn't get better than that. If they had one in there too, probably wouldn't need any other game. 4 and 5, you probably want those.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a ill-advised aside. I am not a huge fan of Metal Gear Solid 1.
Savage. That might be the best one of the entire.
Okay, but do you say this having played it in the last year or two, or is this entirely
not in the last year or two? But I've beaten that 24 times at least.
Okay,
it's the story really, and that's really other than 5. Metal Gear was an interactive movie essentially.
Yeah,
and I felt like 1, it just has the tightest story out of all of them. It could be a standalone game, and it was revolutionary at the time. I played that thing for the first time when I was 8, maybe I want to say 9.
Okay.
That changed gaming. I never had seen a game, be treated like that before. I'd never seen anything like that before. So maybe that's a lot of where my opinion comes from.
Well, because for me, I played it for the first time as a fully developed adult, maybe a decade ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I had some real trouble acclimatizing to the
Controls?
Yeah, the
Yeah. Oh,
controls.
it's old. It's old and it's Japanese. Like, no doubt about it.
James, did
It's
you play the original or did you play the like updated Twin Snakes version?
I never touched Twin Snakes, although that's probably to my detriment. I hear that like a lot of the bosses and stuff kind of relied very heavily on a particular camera perspective, and when they moved into 3D or whatever, like proper 3D,
made it
like
easy.
yeah, like a lot of the like challenge and intrigue couldn't survive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And with Twin Snakes, I strongly dislike the twins because they re-recorded all the voice acting. They brought everybody back in and did all the voices over, and so many of the classic lines weren't delivered as well as they were the first time, even though it was the same actor.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was a big thing with me playing that game. The first time through Twin Snakes, what the fuck is happening? This is my Metal Gear, but it's not.
Yeah. When you get to the Revolver Ocelot fight and you just pop into first person and just blow them away.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It was definitely a revolutionary game. I don't like the gameplay definitely doesn't hold up super well, but and probably neither does the story if you take your nostalgia goggles off, but it was doing things that nobody had even dreamed of before, and I think that's kind of been the hallmark of Kojima's games generally, is that he's been trying to push the limits.
Yeah, it's culturally very important and practically unplayable, but like still essential.
Absolutely not. It is absolutely not. Still, anybody, well, not anybody. That's a good game. And as far as the story goes, I don't think that I've got the story like this. The tale of the lone soldier being sent into a base to stop this terrorist organization from launching nuclear missiles, like that's something that that story's still being written today. It's a tried and true formula.
Oh,
and
definitely.
It's the basis for two, well, for 2 and 4, I should say. 3, obviously it's the prequel, but
I mean,
like when I think of the story, I say that it could be a contained game. It could be, but it's also I then think to 2 and I think to 4 and it's just one.
I think it's arguably the greatest saga in video games. And when I say that the story doesn't hold up, I mean some of the writing doesn't hold up as being modern and of the same caliber as something that's going to come out this year. But,
I absolutely agree with that. Going back to it, because I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years I played it, and I was playing it with my roommate, and we both were commenting about how just how Japanese the writing is, how much it's like an anime, and right, like it's exactly like that. And the games after that all tried to, I think, get away from that formula, or at least they were a little bit more westernized in the dialogue. But the first one for sure, it is. I totally see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, even if they did move away a little bit from it being super, super anime, I mean, look at Metal Gear Rex. It is literally just a Gundam.
Totally.
But
totally.
like in 2, Sons of Liberty is arguably the best bait and switch ever, with the tanker versus the plant and playing as Raiden and all that.
Do you hate Raiden? Oh, which side do you fall on?
I definitely prefer being Snake, but that game doesn't work if you're Snake.
And he's around for 85% of the game.
Yeah.
He's right there with you for most of the game.
And like looking down his nose at Raiden, what are you doing, you punk?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, he sees the simulation.
So knowing how much Kojima loves to subvert expectations and fuck with players' general understanding of like what his games and games in general should be, what do you predict is gonna be the rug he pulls out from under us collectively with Death Stranding when it comes out? Like, what do you think he's gonna do? Wild guess to like fuck up our idea of what this game should be.
I mean, I think there's a whole part of the game that's just not even being touched, not being explained. That being, I mean, they've alluded to some kind of maybe flashbacks to, oil-covered streets and soldiers and things. I think there's a lot more actual gameplay there than is being revealed at this point. So I don't know if you're going to end up like bouncing back and forth between the two eras or what. But my sense is that's what the twist is.
Absolutely. I know the joke is, the walking. There's going to be so much to do in that game, you won't know where it starts. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
I'm feeling nervous. I think it's going to be like MGS5 was overwhelming. And I think this one's going to maybe, I mean, as far as scale goes, maybe not blow it out of the water. It will be on a bigger scale. It's going to be a lot deeper.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is that MGS5 proved that Kojima can build a mechanically competent game and a very mechanically diverse game. And they picked a really solid engine in the Horizon Zero Dawn engine. So whatever combat and action we do end up getting, I think is going to be good. So I don't think we have to worry about that. It's a question of whether Kojima Unchained is a good thing or not. I hope it's a good thing.
Personally, I'm really excited whether it's a good thing or not. Like the idea that he's going to make like some completely unwieldy, impossible, dense, impenetrable fucking like nonsense nightmare project excites me just as much as the idea of him making a like groundbreaking masterpiece.
Yes. Either way, I look forward to the inevitable 8-hour YouTube analysis videos looking at the symbols throughout the game and all that bullshit that they've already done for Metal Gear.
Yeah, I can't wait to see all the performances in the game too. Norman Reedus is so good. Mads Mikkelsen is going to be incredible in it, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kojima, there's no better director in gaming, is there? Like his scenes, the way they flow, can't wait to see it.
Yep. The cinematography is always very good, even dating back to the Metal Gear Solid. Yeah. Some of the cinematic camera work and stuff, you could see his influence, from 80s action movies and noir kind of themes. I mean, I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait. Cannot wait. I haven't finished GS5 yet. I've been when the split occurred between Konami and Kojima, man, I couldn't come to terms with the fact that Metal Gear was dead, and so I got about halfway through MGS, been waiting for the moments where I can finally lay the series to rest, and I think next month, in anticipation of Death Stranding, finally I'm gonna move on and look towards the future.
Yeah, I think it's deeper than it gets credit for. You definitely have to listen to all the cassette tapes, though. But there's some really great scenes in the back half of that, even if it wraps up a little bit quickly and sort of like they were shuffling Kojima out the door. Just ignore that and,
Right. I remember like where I left off, I had defeated Sahelanthropus. So
okay.
Do you know roughly how much longer I had?
Oh, you got lots.
Lots to go.
You got a good journey, buddy.
Excellent. Good. It's like I said, I've been waiting for it. I've been waiting for the time laid to rest.
Speaking of being laid to rest, that's probably going to do it for this episode of Press X to Podcast. And thanks very much to all of you who've been listening and have come this far, because I know that's not a given. When you listen to a podcast, you're always jumping around. So if you're hearing me talk right now, thank you for listening. And thank you, James and Rhett, for coming along for the ride.
Hey, it's been a blast.
Got any parting words? Wisdom, non-wisdom, Kojima-isms? I'll take anything.
I think that it's going to be kind of an insane season for games. And if you're making any plans to clear out any part of your backlog, you're probably already too late.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe like dig deep, knuckles down, and see if you can make some headway before like the next flood of releases. You might be doomed, but hey, fuck it, try anyway.
That's great advice, James, because I still need to play Resident Evil.
7?
The 2 remake.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm waiting for that one too.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get out of here, guys.
All right.
Again, thanks to everybody for listening. We will talk to you next time, right here on Press X the podcast. See ya later.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.